Lionsgate boss says studio can use AI to adjust a movie's rating and create kid-friendly cuts. Do it anime, make it PG-13. 3 hours later, I'll have the movie. This
69
is just really surprising, but if you would, from Variety.
Yep. Lionsgate inks deal with AI firm to repackage and resell existing library. So Lionsgate is diving into artificial intelligence with a bold partnership announced last fall with AI startup Runway, marking the first such collaboration between the tech company and a major Hollywood studio. Vice Chairman Michael Burns recently explained that the goal is to explore the possibilities AI offers for filmmaking, especially as a cost-cutting and creative tool. By using Runway's technology, Lionsgate hopes to produce movies and shows that would be otherwise too expensive, saying, "We can't make it for $100 million, but we'd make it for $50 million because of AI." From reimagining existing content in new styles, like turning a violent action film into an animated PG-13 version, to generating complex visual effects for a fraction of the usual cost, the studio is testing what AI can make feasible. For example, instead of filming an elaborate war scene with thousands of extras and horses in a snowstorm, AI can recreate the shot in seconds for around $10,000. Burns sees this as a way to greenlight projects that previously wouldn't have made financial sense. While acknowledging that human creatives still need to be paid, he envisions AI drastically reducing production barriers and opening new avenues for repackaging existing franchises like John Wick or The Hunger Games, as filmmakers warm to the technology's potential in both pre- and post-production. Lionsgate is positioning itself at the frontier of AI-enhanced storytelling. And that's what Cameron was talking about.
Now, what do we think of this? I mean, they've talked about using AI to localize movies. There was the Swedish film, Watch the Skies, where they localized. They used the actors, and they did the entire script in English with Swedish accents, and they used some software called Flawless to fix their mouths.
Yep.
And now we have, what are we going to see? A G-rated John Wick? I mean, whatever you can imagine they'll use it for, they'll probably use it for that. What do you guys think of all this?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think we can finally make bad movies cheaper. Good job, AI.
And more accessible worldwide.
I'm going to make the G-rated Martyrs.
Are they already using this with Snow White AI?
I mean, isn't this what, like I said, James Cameron was talking about, of using AI to reduce budgets drastically, which I would argue you should find out, a different way to reduce them instead of, but whatever. Yeah, for like the huge, very expensive, months-long CGI shit, bro, if you can do it the same, the repackaging, that's a little perverse.
I mean, I do wonder, it does make me wonder about specifically streaming and science fiction and fantasy, these shows that just seem to have such overblown budgets, and they only can come out with like 10 episodes every 3 years. I mean, what's going on that's costing so much? And could tools like this, would that even help? Or is it just a way deeper situation, not employing people that know how to use, or just be creative with filming techniques on a budget?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. Slow Horses comes out with a season every year on Apple.
Yeah.
I don't get like certain productions. It's just like One Piece, the same thing. Stranger Things. Would this be able to help?
-1. They managed to do it on a good budget. They didn't cheat with AI. So
with 35 people.
Learn how to use your people. Hire people that know what they're doing. Don't just cheat. But
yeah,
to like the Expanse. What happened?
I was gonna say, to B-Rad's comment here, I want to see an R-rated Bluey.
You'll be able to do that too.
Yeah.
Deadpool did that, right? Where they had the R-rated and then they did that PG-13 release. So now we would just have an AI just cut out all
with Fred Savage. They shot that was
great.
Oh, I forgot about that.
But the real question is, at the end of the day, are people going to accept? Is AI going to get? I mean, already we've seen with what the new Google 3 was, a Vero 3. It's pretty impressive where you have voices and things they're making. There was I don't know if you guys have seen the short with the stormtroopers that came out a couple days ago.
Bigfoot account.
Yeah.
They're genius.
Okay, that account, they had I read today that there was they had an account with no subscribers, and they put that stormtrooper video on. They had 120,000 subscribers in a day.
Man,
because that clip gets shared. So I mean, like Kevin Rubio, our friend Kevin Rubio made Troops that really kicked off the fan film explosion back in the 90s. He could do that entire film right now with AI in an afternoon and prompts. But he went out to Death Valley and shot it, and he had people who worked on Babylon 5 do actual visual effects at the time. You don't have to do that anymore.
The Bigfoot videos of the guy playing like, I'm gonna put dynamite in their fire. And
that one's
up.
yeah.
But that's the thing. That would have taken. I was talking to a Film Comics Explained who knows how these are all made. So they're taking hundreds of thousands of dollars. He did it in a day.
Yeah, in probably a couple hours.
You can't beat that.
No.
Now, sorry, I went out for a second. I had to reboot with my camera not working, but it may only get worse.
It is going to get worse.
Friend of the channel, Justine Bateman, who I consider to be the Sarah Connor of warning us about AI. She's jacked, like having met her in person, she's jacked like Sarah Connor. But she was on a news station talking about AI and the use of AI. I'm going to show this clip here. It's it's like 4 minutes, but worth hearing the whole thing. We will discuss on the other side. So bear with me here as I set this up. Let's watch the whole thing and then we'll talk about it. Here we go.
Future of Hollywood and human beings with AI right here, right now.
Well, two things going on. We have the more practical matters of kind of the dissolving of Los Angeles and Southern California, and everything that supports the business here, real estate values, tourism, everything. I mean, it's just going to be quite an economic disaster considering how much in Southern California is in and around the business. The second thing is, as far as AI in film, I think we're going to see streamers using the years and years of viewing history that they have on you and create customized pieces for you. They won't bother to copyright those because it'll be like Kleenex. And then for an upcharge, they can face replace you on films that they can license for this purpose from studios and other places that have libraries. You could say, put my face on Luke Skywalker's body today.
So we've talked about it a little bit on my previous show, but
what do we think of that? So Netflix, you upload your face or your face,
Skywalker.
your friends' faces, you remake Star Wars starring all of us. Now we're getting some of that already with deep fake. You probably could do it on your own with quite a bit of effort. But if that was the future of streaming,
who wants to watch that? Who would want to watch a movie? Who would want to watch a personalized movie? Like if you had friends over, your friends aren't going to want to watch you as Luke Skywalker walking around doing whatever. It's going to be a novelty for a little bit. But ultimately, that's going to wear off. People want authentic stories told by real storytellers. That's what people want. They don't want to see some bastardization of Star Wars starring you or starring whoever. That's not what people want. I can't imagine somebody's getting, like we'll get that a niche at the very beginning. People will be excited about, oh, I can make myself into this character, that character. Look how
but you'd want to make your own custom one, Dante. You'd make your own custom anime. That's what Ben Affleck was talking about. To replace DVD sales, they could sell licensed kits that you could build your own stories in these worlds. Oh, you didn't like the movie? Change it. Change what you didn't like about it.
But movies are a shared experience. Think about it. Movies are a shared experience. We go like when we were just talking about going to Ballerina and everybody in the crowd is going nuts because of what we're watching and we're all enjoying it together. That's what movies are. You're not going to want to watch some personalized, like this is for me. Maybe I might like it, but am I going to get 100 people in the crowd to like that? Probably not. So I don't get the point of AI if that's what they're going to use it for. I could see AI being a tool where they try to make certain things more streamlined, you know, kind of cut out a lot of the extra heavy lifting and the work that's being done. But to try to like personalize it to I can put myself into an old school movie or whatever, that I don't get that. I don't get why anybody would care about
it's the Netflix narcissist package. Out there.
But there's going to be
TikTok.
like, well, instead of making a mixtape for your significant other, what if you used AI and made her or him a feature film starring the two of you? Like, this is the way I see our lives in 20 years.
Oh.
And you could give your girlfriend or your boyfriend a something made by prompts. Sure, it's AI starring the two of you. You could do your own romantic comedy or romantic story or science fiction story, horror story, whatever, starring the two of you. And it's gonna go to the point where there will be a Spielberg who's 12 years old who's going to use this technology and make a feature film, because AI can generate everything. You know, it generates pictures, it generates sounds, it generates soundtracks. Or if somebody wants to do Knights of the Old Republic as a 12-hour, you know, 3-part feature, they'll be
Robert,
able to
you're
do it.
sounding hopeful. When did you change? I thought you were gonna. You
Well,
said this would end.
But it's
everything.
still a shared thing,
no,
Rob,
but the
right?
thing
You're
is-
still going to have to share that with other people, and that's the
Well,
point of
that's
movies.
the-
It's a shared thing.
It is, but it's going to be so. I don't think people realize what we're about to experience. And on one hand, I think a lot of it's going to be really exciting. On the other hand, the problem with generative AI is that all of it is taken from stuff that previously exists, and it's basically a mix format, where a mixtape format, where it's just going to take all of every bit of Western and Eastern and all of human civilization since it's been recorded in any medium is being used to train generative AI. And once that happens, then when we get to AGI, artificial general intelligence, when AI becomes sentient, it's going to be a very different world that we live in on every level. And it's coming whether we want it or not. What's going to be really interesting is, do we have a perception of reality that we'll know when a movie has been AI generated?
Good question.
And that's going to be something I don't think we know the answer to yet.
I
And
just
you
think
see
it's, I
that
just
now
think it's
on
too late
X.
to. I think it's too late
You
to put
see
the genie back in the bottle, man. I think that it's
way too late.
I appreciate what Justine is doing, but at the same time, there's no way studios are not going to use this technology to make things cheaper. And, you know, on some level, maybe even just kind of make the movies they really want to make, so they don't have to deal with directors. They don't have to deal with, you know, actors with an attitude. They'll just make their own, right? They'll
Robert
buy
came
them
up with a
right
new Turing
and make
test.
and make
Yeah, but
whatever movie
Dante-
they want to make.
Well,
But Dante,
and
who's going to watch it? Who's going to watch it? Because they're making it to make money, to get audiences, human beings. All right, who's going to watch it? AI people are going to watch this. Human beings want actual real stories told by real storytellers.
Sure, and here's the thing: I think you could tell a real story even with AI. That's the problem. It's the technology is there now. You see what I'm saying?
You're going to deal with a generation that's born after this revolution has occurred, and they're not going to care about the difference.
They're not going to care at all.
And like somebody said in the chat, they're commenting to me that isn't that what humans already do? Yes, we take things and we mix and match them, but the difference is everything a human being does is filtered through the perception of their life. You know, they've lived a life. They understand when somebody's writing a rock song about a breakup with a girlfriend, that comes from a real place, the real experience of the real emotion. All AI is ever going to be able to do is recreate it, where it's not going to understand what it was like to feel
Till they
those
start dating Robert and break up with each other, and then they'll write some bangers.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I posted a story on my Facebook page how this scientific study was being done with an AI, where the AI was looking into things like motion, the physics of motion, and they were feeding this AI things, and the AI made observations about physics and the way things move that in a different way than anyone had considered before, because it wasn't limited in its thinking in terms of. So it's going to be really interesting when we have, say, quantum connected AI, they'll be able to actually, for the very first time, plot the weather, because quantum computing will be able to calculate how many variables, the weather or currents or things that we just don't have the capacity to do. And it's going to change things like quantum-based AI, quantum-based AGI systems will probably be able to solve cancer in an afternoon, because it'll be able to take all of those variables that we can't even begin to understand. And calculate them instantly.
I will say this. I agree with DA that this would be something of just a trend. It'll just be like a thing that's just like there already is a thing called jib jab. Has anyone heard of jib jab?
A long time ago.
I have.
That was a long. Okay, it still exists. You can take your face and put it in a music video that it makes for you. Now it's very unsophisticated, and it's kind of goofy, but that's what she's talking about. Let's watch more of this video and then we'll talk about it here. So let me start it back up.
It's kind of crazy to think about. So theoretically then, does time matter? Could Steve McQueen effectively make, and I'm using air quotes, make a new movie today?
Yes, of course. If his estate licensed his image, sure. So there's so much to say about this, but just you can imagine if you're a new actor, you're competing. It used to be you compete against in auditions those who were your age, your look, and available during the time that the film's going to shoot. But now you're going to compete against every actor that's ever lived.
I assume that Steve McQueen's estate could, and I love Steve McQueen, by the way, they could license that out for a ridiculously small amount of money. They wouldn't, but they could. And therefore, some human actor who's alive and trying to pay the rent and put food on the table is not going to get paid because the estate of Steve McQueen, which is already very wealthy, I'm sure, will get paid. This seems seismic for the industry.
Yeah, I mean, the industry that we had for 100 years is done. I mean, what we have now is sort of a conveyor belt of content, and then this, foray into basically the replacement of human labor with the AI elements. But there is a new film business that's emerging that me and others are part of. Like we have the Credo 23 Film Festival that we did this last March that was fantastic, and we'll do it again, where no AI is allowed and all the proceeds go to the filmmakers. And, filmmaking as an art will go forward. I think there's going to have to be new ways to distribute and stuff. And I don't know what those answers are yet as far as like financially, how does that remain healthy? But yeah, what is passing as the business right now is not what we used to have at all. And it was interesting to see that piece that you had on theater. I think, live performance or a mix of live with filmed, could be something obviously that people are interested in.
I love how all of the internet is eating itself and everyone's going back to live. That's a very fun theme coming out of this. Justine, it's Kelly here. And by the way, it's great to chat with you. So the music industry is similarly trying to figure this out right now. The Universal, Warner, and Sony are all trying to figure out how do they do digital fingerprints or something for the artist. Would you be okay if we all started to remix Justine Bateman and create AI products based on you, but you got comments? I mean, that sounds to me like a pretty good revenue stream. I could I could be out there, make a cool movie or whatever and get, royalties for the rest of my life as people just remix things. Would that be of interest to you, or do you think it's very important that you're only involved in original productions?
Would never be of interest to me. I mean, I think it's quite soul-sucking to do that sort of thing. I know a number of people have and will, but I'm not an actor anymore, but I would imagine for a working actor or for someone who loves acting or, feels called to it, all you have is your voice and your appearance and the way your body moves. And so if you are licensing that out, I don't know, you've just given away your entire purpose.
Oh, Justine, thanks for joining us.
That's a science fiction movie right there. I mean, what was the movie that was that similar plot? Trying to think of it. I'll remember it later. What are your thoughts on what she said near the end there? What do you guys think?
I mean, I do think actors should have a clause in their contracts or whatever they negotiate. I don't know how that side of that works, but I think all actors living should be able to speak for themselves and have to like put it in their will or whatever, of whether or not they agree to having their likeness used. James Earl Jones did himself agree to have the AI use his voice as Darth Vader because he wanted that to continue. I think it gets a bit murky though with when you get to Alien Romulus and the estate of Ian Holmes was fine with him using his appearance, but I just can't help but wonder, well, I know that the actor loved that franchise, but I just would feel more comfortable if he himself did agree to it. It just feels really icky. And of course it looked really bad. But then you also have Star Trek Unification, which I think it's different technology. I believe it's digital prosthetic
Yep.
that they used. Beautiful. Love that with Leonard Nimoy. It just had a completely different vibe to it. And of course the estate was involved in that as well. And I don't know, I just think actors need to see whether or not they are okay with that and have that with the unions or whatever. Because I think when it's done right, it can be really great for storytelling. But if they're not okay with it, then it could come across as soulless and zombified. I don't know. Yeah, just have that icky vibe.
Ron Enrique says the movie was The Congress with Robin Wright, but also even Harold Ramis in Ghostbusters, right?
Oh, yeah.
They brought him back. There are a lot of cases of this, and we've heard it was announced, though never made, a new movie starring James Dean.
Yeah,
if you remember that, Rob.
No, I do. I mean, the real question is, we have to. There's an Israeli historian named Yuval Harari, and he wrote 2 books. The first was Sapiens, and it was followed up by Homo Deus. And Sapiens is basically 100,000-year history of humanity, and it's really, really entertaining to read. But at the end of that book, he asks a question: Who do we as human beings want to be? What is it we want to be? And this AI question is going to be, I think, the single most important question our civilization has perhaps faced ever, in terms of defining, because our arts, the arts traditionally writing, film, music, performing arts, watching real people perform until they can get robots to do it, but that'll come, will still go on. But arts have traditionally, it's how we define ourselves. It's how we as human beings look back on ourselves and try and make sense of our finite existence in this universe. Well, what happens? Have that anymore.
That's why I say people aren't going to rock with it at all, because like you just said, there's something about the soul and spirit of humanity that AI will never be able to replicate. It will never be able to connect with us. People see it automatically. You see a picture online somewhere and people instantly, this doesn't look right. Is this AI? I don't think this is a real picture. This doesn't look like a real person. And then they start looking for all the flaws. Sometimes it is a real person, but people's antennas are already up to this stuff.
Dante, there's so many commercial, or excuse me, DA. There's so many YouTube trailers shows that all they do is have AI voices that just play clips and like might not be watching something like, that's an AI voice, right?
What about a Rachel Zegler situation? You have a young, immature actress who tanks a huge multi-$100 million budget movie from Disney because of her personal politics and vanity. Wouldn't it be better to say, here's a demo right here from this is from Wall Street Mav. This is a demo of AI actors. Even the mistakes are part of it. Look at this. It's a short clip. Let's watch this.
You type in a script, choose an actor, and Mirage. I'm sorry.
And wouldn't somebody who had, say, 30 perms before in their life be well aware of this rule? I just feel like women, they have minds and they have souls as well as just hearts.
Right now, John, the stock trades over the counter at 10 cents a share. And by the way, John, our analysts indicate it could go a heck of a lot higher than that.
You type in a script.
So you could use it for influencers, advertising. I mean, I think AI actors, if it looks that good now with the mistakes that humanize it,
a year from now, it's over.
I'm in shock. Alan and I looked at this last week. We did a news item on it, but look, this is only going to get, yes, it looks terrible. Dino's reviews. Good to hear from you. It looks terrible now.
Like just anecdotally, I'm playing like Skyrim modded, which is like whatever 10 years old, but there's a bunch now of new quests and storylines made by people, and then that's fine. That happens all the time. It's fully voiced, and it's all AI. The NPCs all have AI personalities and voices and all of that, and that is just that you would have not seen that before. You would have been text only, and now that's a voice actor they didn't have to hire.
Well, and I'm actually kind of fine with that, like the NPC, because could be tons of characters and tons. But for the main actors and the protagonists and main characters that you're going to see, you need humans because for something that important, it like any other tool, technologies, it's how you use it that's important, and and who's using it, and if it's done with true artistic endeavor, people will sense that. I mean, Dune Part 2 used AI, but how they did it, as opposed to the first film, it was with the blue eyes, and they had that machine learning to detect the eyes and add the blue that they needed. And I guess it was a tremendous time saver in that regard. So there's ways that you can use it. I think studios that have tons of resources and money, I mean, maybe it can be a time saver in that regard, but they're the ones that need to be truly creative. And for others that want to see make a fun fan fiction film, I think this would be fun too for them. Again, it's just who's behind it, who's using it, and how do you use the tool, and what is it for? But
Also, sort of to kind of piggyback off of that, I was one of those people where I was like Chicken Little, yelling the sky is falling because AI is going to take over, the machines are going to kill us all, and I still do believe that actually, but that's further off. But I think in a way, it might be a really good thing. Like I'd love to see like more like just independent or just people taking matters into their own hands, using AI to make really cool shit. Because that way, anything to keep the studios on their toes, I'm all for. If people are making things that the studios aren't, they need to feel the pain of that.
But they're not going to. They're not going to, because again, we've had 4K smartphone cameras for years now, and only professional filmmakers have been able to make movies with iPhones. Your average Joe on the street cannot. Like, that's where you have the divide. Like, this is going to actually have a positive effect with regards to efficiency for some aspects, but it's also going to have a negative effect because we're going to get so oversaturated with all these other people just making attempts trying to make movies that's actually going to like lower the bar of what we deem as quality. And the other part too, on the saving money side of things, it's really just kind of a shell game of sorts, because Godzilla -1 proved you can make a feature film with a tight crew under a budget. And basically what's going to happen now, what Hollywood is going to be like, okay, well, we'll do the same thing, but we'll still take all our tastes that we have through all the tax credits, all the deals and backhand trading we do, but we'll just offload a lot of the labor to AI. You're still going to get the same result. It's still going to be an inflated budget that's just going to be used in AI, where everybody else collects a lot more money that they don't need, don't earn, don't use to actually contribute to the film. And who's going to suffer? Everybody else. Your IATSE crews are going to suffer. The people that would be drivers, laundry, all other amenities that are used, that Hollywood productions use in order to make a movie look real and look lived in and looked enjoyable, all going to be gone. And that's
but let's be real about script. Let's be real about where a lot of that money goes. It goes to the actors, right? It goes to the big stars that they cast. So they cut a good percentage of that with AI.